Gloria's hands trembled as she stood in the doorway of Angela's bedroom, watching the little girl struggle to breathe. The monitors beeped frantically. Sebastian Lorenzo, the most feared man in New York, sat beside his daughter's bed with his head in his hands, looking more broken than she'd ever seen him in the 6 months she'd worked in his mansion. Mr. Lorenzo, Gloria whispered, her heart pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. The words she was about to say would change everything. They would expose her deepest secret, the one she'd protected with every fiber of her being. But looking at 6-year-old Angela's pale face, Gloria knew she had no choice. He looked up, his dark eyes red-med with exhaustion and fear. "What is it, Gloria?" She took a breath that felt like swallowing glass. "I need to tell you something. Something about why I'm a perfect match to save Angela's life." The moment hung between them like a knife's edge. In the background, she could hear the private doctors murmuring urgently about the failed donor search, about time running out. Gloria thought about Ava, her own daughter, hidden away in her sister's apartment across the city. This decision would reveal everything. But some loves were worth any sacrifice. If you want to discover how Gloria ended up in this impossible situation and what secret she's been hiding that could save Angela's life, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Every view helps bring more stories like this one. Let's see how it all began. 6 months earlier, Gloria Roberts stood outside the iron gates of the Lorenzo estate in Westchester County, wondering if this was the biggest mistake of her life. The mansion beyond looked like something from a movie. All white stone and columns with manicured gardens that probably cost more to maintain than she'd earned in her entire life. She checked her reflection in her phone's screen one more time. Her natural hair was pulled back into a professional bun. Her second-hand black dress was clean and pressed, and she'd practiced her most confident smile 100 times. At 28, she'd been cleaning houses, waiting tables, and doing whatever it took to put food on the table for Ava while keeping her existence hidden from everyone who might ask questions. The intercom crackled. "State your business." "Gloria Roberts. I have an interview for the housekeeping position at 2 o'clock. The gate swung open with an ominous creak that made her stomach flip. She walked up the long driveway, her worn shoes clicking against pristine stone. Through the windows, she could see crystal chandeliers and artwork that belonged in museums. This was a different world, one where people like her only existed to serve. The door opened before she could knock. A stern woman in her 50s, wearing a crisp gray suit, looked her up and down with a kind of scrutiny that made Gloria's skin prickle. "Mrs. Chun," the woman said, not extending a hand. "Head of household staff, you're late." Gloria glanced at her phone. "I'm 3 minutes early, ma'am. In this house, early is on time, and on time is late. Follow me." The interior was even more intimidating than the exterior. Marble floors gleamed under her feet as Mrs. Chen led her through rooms that seemed designed to remind you how small and insignificant you were. Gloria's mind raced through the lies she'd rehearsed. No husband, no children, available 24/7, willing to live on site if required. All lies except the last one. She couldn't live here. Not when Ava needed her every night. But she could pretend, at least until she got hired and could negotiate. "Mr. Lorenzo requires absolute discretion," Mrs. Chun was saying as they climbed a grand staircase. "You'll see things in this house that you never speak about. You'll hear conversations that don't exist the moment they're over. Can you manage that?" "Yes, ma'am." Gloria had gotten good at keeping secrets. What was one more? They reached a hallway lined with family portraits. Gloria's steps slowed as she noticed them. Sebastian Lorenzo in various stages of life, always with that same intense gaze, and a little girl with dark curls in her father's eyes, growing from infant to the child she appeared to be now, around 6 or 7. "Angela," Mrs. Chen said, noticing Gloria's attention. "Mr. Lorenzo's daughter. She's the reason we need someone new. The previous maid couldn't handle her special needs." "Special needs?" Before Mrs. Chen could answer, a door at the end of the hall burst open. A small figure in a princess dress came running out, giggling, followed by a frazzled-looking woman in scrubs. "Angela, you can't run like that. You'll hurt yourself." The little girl's laughter was pure joy as she dodged around furniture. But Gloria noticed the way she held one arm closer to her body, the slight limp in her gait. And when the girl glanced their way, Gloria saw the telltale signs. She'd seen them before in the pediatric ward where her sister worked. This child was sick, fighting something big. The little girl stumbled and Gloria moved without thinking. She was there in an instant, catching Angela before she could hit the marble floor. "Careful, princess," Gloria said softly, helping her stand. Up close, she could see the port under the child's collar, the slight yellowing in her skin that spoke of liver problems. Her heart clenched. "You're new," Angela said, tilting her head. "What's your name?" "That's a pretty name, like the princess in a movie." "Maybe." Gloria smiled, keeping her arms steady around the girl as the nurse rushed over. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine. I'm always fine." But the words came out breathless, and Gloria noticed the slight tremor in the child's hands. "Señorina Angela." A deep voice cut through the moment like a blade. "What did I tell you about running?" Gloria's head snapped up and her breath caught. Sebastian Lorenzo stood at the end of the hallway, and every instinct in her body screamed, "Danger." He was tall, well over 6 feet, with dark hair swept back from a face that was all sharp angles and harder edges. His three-piece suit probably cost more than her car, and his presence filled the hallway like a thunderstorm about to break. But it was his eyes that held her, dark, intense, and currently fixed on his daughter with a mixture of fear and frustration that she recognized. He was terrified for this child.
"Papa."
Angela wriggled free from Gloria's gentle hold and ran to her father. He caught her up carefully, holding her like she might break. "Angela Toro mio," he murmured, pressing a kiss to her forehead. Then those dark eyes found Gloria over his daughter's head, and she felt the weight of his scrutiny like a physical thing. "Who are you?" Gloria straightened, refusing to be intimidated, even though her heart hammered against her ribs. "Gloria Roberts, sir. I'm here for the housekeeping position." He studied her for a long moment, taking in everything about her with the kind of attention that made her feel exposed. She'd heard stories about Sebastian Lorenzo on the streets, in the whispers between her other employers, the head of the Lorenzo crime family, a man who could end your life with a phone call, someone you didn't cross, didn't question, didn't even look at wrong. But all she saw right now was a father holding his sick daughter, and the raw fear in his eyes was something she understood too well. "She caught me when I fell." Angela piped up.
"She's nice, Papa."
Something shifted in Sebastian's expression, though Gloria couldn't read it. "Mrs. Chun, continue the interview process. I want a full background check completed by tomorrow morning." "Yes, Mr. Lorenzo." He carried Angela down the hallway, murmuring to her in Italian, and Gloria released a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. "Well," Mrs. Chun said, "that was interesting. Mr. Lorenzo doesn't usually acknowledge new staff." Gloria's mind was already racing ahead. The job, the money was what she'd come for. The pay was triple what she made at her other jobs combined. And if she could just get hired, she could finally afford the treatment Ava needed for her asthma. Could maybe even start saving for something more than just survival. But she hadn't expected to care about the people in this house. She hadn't expected Angela's bright smile, or the way Sebastian's hands had trembled slightly as he held his daughter. The interview continued through the afternoon. Blaise Chin was thorough, demanding, and clearly protective of the household. Gloria answered every question carefully, maintaining her lies about being completely available. No family, no complications. The position requires living on site. Mrs. Chin finally said, "Is that acceptable?" Gloria's heart sank. "I would prefer to commute, ma'am. I have an apartment in the city that I've already paid rent on." Mrs. Chan made a note. "We can discuss it." The previous maid lived off-site, but it complicated the schedule. Mr. Lorenzo requires flexibility. As the sun began to set, Gloria was given a tour of the mansion. 20 bedrooms, 10 bathrooms, a kitchen that looked like it belonged in a five-star restaurant, and a medical wing that made her pause. It was a full hospital room complete with monitoring equipment and enough medication to stock a pharmacy. For Angela, Mrs. Chun explained quietly, "She has a rare liver disease. Progressive, the doctors say, without a transplant. She didn't finish the sentence.
She didn't need to.
Gloria's throat tightened. Is she on the transplant list? Has been for 2 years. She's rare blood type, complex genetic markers. Finding a match has been Mrs. Chen's professional mask slipped for just a moment, revealing genuine concern. Mr. Lorenzo has spared no expense, contacted every hospital, every specialist, but we're running out of time. The words hit Gloria like a punch to the chest. She thought of Ava, safe and healthy despite their struggles. She thought of Angela's bright smile and the way she'd called Gloria nice, like it was the best compliment in the world. I'll take the job, Gloria heard herself say. If Mr. Lorenzo offers it, and I'll do whatever I can to help. Mrs. Chen's expression softened slightly. Mr. Lorenzo's decision will come tomorrow after the background check, but between you and me, I think you made an impression. If you're enjoying this story and want to see what happens next, please subscribe to our channel and let us know in the comments where you're watching from. Your support means everything to us as we continue bringing these stories to life. Gloria left the mansion as darkness fell, her mind churning. She took 3 buses to get back to her sister's apartment in Brooklyn, where Ava was already asleep in the small bedroom they shared. How'd it go? Her sister Nova asked, looking up from the nursing textbook spread across the tiny kitchen table.
Got the job, I think.
Pays enough to change everything. Gloria collapsed onto the worn couch. But Nova, the little girl there, she's dying. Liver disease. They can't find a donor. Nova's expression turned serious. She knew what Gloria was thinking because they discussed it 100 times when Ava had needed her own tests years ago. The blood work that had revealed Gloria's rare genetic profile, the kind that made her a universal donor for certain conditions. Don't, Nova warned.
Don't even think about it.
She's 6 years old. So is Ava. And if you expose yourself, if you get involved with that family beyond being their maid, you could lose everything. These people are dangerous, Gloria. You can't save everyone. But Gloria couldn't stop seeing Angela smile. Couldn't stop thinking about what it would feel like to watch that light go out. She'd taken this job for the money, for the chance to give Ava a better life. She just hadn't expected to feel anything for the little girl living in that gilded cage. 3 weeks into working at the Lorenzo estate, Gloria had learned several important things. First, Sebastian Lorenzo was rarely home during the day, leaving before dawn and returning after Angela went to bed. Second, when he was home, his entire attention focused on his daughter with an intensity that was both beautiful and heartbreaking. Third, the household staff walked on eggshells around him, terrified of making a mistake that might draw his wrath. But Gloria had also learned something else. She wasn't afraid of him. Maybe it was foolish. Maybe it came from spending her whole life having to fight for everything, having to stand her ground against landlords and bill collectors and men who thought a single mother was easy prey. But when Sebastian Lorenzo looked at her with those cold, assessing eyes, she looked right back. It started small. She'd been cleaning his study when he came home early, his jacket discarded and blood on his knuckles. She'd frozen for a moment, the stories she'd heard about his business flooding her mind, but then she'd simply retrieved the first aid kit from the bathroom and set it on his desk. You should clean that, she'd said quietly before it gets infected. He'd stared at her like she'd grown a second head. Men probably didn't tell Sebastian Lorenzo what to do, but after a long moment, he'd opened the kit.
Thank you,
He'd said, and she'd heard the surprise in his voice. Then there was the day Angela had a bad episode. Gloria had been in the kitchen when she heard the monitor alarms going off from the medical wing. She dropped everything and run, her heart in her throat, and found Angela convulsing while the nurse tried to hold her steady. Call Mr. Lorenzo, the nurse shouted. But Gloria was already there, already helping, using everything she'd learned from the years of watching Nova study, from the medical emergencies she'd witnessed with Ava. She held Angela's hand and spoke softly to her, grounding the little girl through the worst of it until the seizure passed. When Sebastian burst through the door 5 minutes later, his face ashen, Angela was lying quietly with her head in Gloria's lap. "Papa," Angela murmured, "Gloria sang to me." The shaking stopped. Sebastian's eyes met Gloria's over his daughter's head, and something passed between them. Understanding, recognition of shared fear, the bond of two people who would both die for this child. What did you sing? He asked later after Angela was resting comfortably and the medical team had cleared out. An old lullaby. My grandmother used to sing it. Gloria didn't mention that she'd sung it to Ava 1,000 times. Stay, Sebastian said abruptly. When you're here, she's calmer. I'll pay you double, triple, whatever it takes. Mr. Lorenzo, I can't live here full time. I have responsibilities. Then bring them here. He ran a hand through his hair, and for the first time, she saw him as something other than the cold mafia boss. He was just a desperate father. Whatever you need, whoever you need to care for, I'll provide for them. 2. I'll buy you a house nearby if you want. Just please.
She needs you.
Gloria's throat tightened. The offer was tempting, dangerously so. With that kind of money, she could give Ava everything, but it would mean exposing her daughter's existence, bringing her into this world of wealth and danger. I'll think about it, she managed to say. Over the following days, Gloria found herself spending more time with Angela. The little girl was smart, curious, and surprisingly resilient despite her illness. She loved stories, especially ones about princesses who saved themselves. She asked questions about Gloria's life with the innocent directness of children. Do you have kids? Angela asked one afternoon while Gloria helped her with a puzzle in the library. Gloria's hand stilled on the puzzle piece. Why, do you ask? Because you're good at this stuff.
Kid stuff.
Most adults don't like it. I like spending time with you. But do you have kids? The lie stuck in Gloria's throat. It's complicated, Angela. Angela studied her with those two old eyes. That's what Papa says when he doesn't want to explain something. Gloria couldn't help but laugh. You're too smart for your own good. I know. Angela fitted another puzzle piece. I think you'd be a good mom. You're nice, and you don't look at me like I'm going to break. The words hit Gloria harder than they should have because that was exactly what everyone else did, including Sebastian. They all saw Angela as fragile, dying, something to be protected from every possible harm. But Gloria saw what Angela needed more than protection. She needed to feel normal, to feel like a regular kid, even if just for a few hours. How about we finish this puzzle? Gloria said, blinking back unexpected tears. And then I'll teach you how to make paper airplanes. Angela's face lit up. Really? Papa says, I can't do things that require too much energy. Paper airplanes don't require much energy, just steady hands and a little imagination. They spent the next hour folding paper and launching planes across the library. Angela's laughter filling the space like music. Gloria was so absorbed in the moment that she didn't notice Sebastian standing in the doorway until Angela called out to him. Papa, look, mine flew the farthest. Sebastian walked in slowly and Gloria tensed, expecting him to be angry that she'd let Angela play so energetically. But his expression was unreadable as he watched his daughter running around in circles, cheeks flushed with excitement. Gloria taught me, Angela explained, launching another plane. She's the best, Papa. Can she stay forever?
Angela.
Gloria has her own life, but I want her to stay. Angela's lower lip trembled, the joy draining from her face. Everyone always leaves. The nurses leave. The doctors leave. I want Gloria to stay. Gloria's heart cracked. She knelt down to Angela's level. Hey, I'm not going anywhere right now, okay? I'll be here as long as you need me. Promise. The word hung in the air, heavy with implications Gloria couldn't quite grasp yet. She looked up at Sebastian, found him watching her with an intensity that made her skin warm. I promise, she said softly. That night, after Angela was asleep, Sebastian found Gloria in the kitchen making herself tea before the long bus ride home. Thank you, he said simply. For today, for making her smile like that. She's a special kid. She is. He poured himself a glass of whiskey, and in the soft kitchen light, Gloria could see the exhaustion etched into every line of his face. The doctors say we have maybe 6 months if we don't find a donor. 6 months. Gloria's hands tightened on her mug.
There's still time.
There isn't. He drank deeply. I've done terrible things in my life, Gloria. I've hurt people, killed people. I deserve whatever hell is waiting for me. But Angela doesn't deserve this. She's innocent. She's perfect. And I can't save her. The raw pain in his voice stripped away every wall, every defense. Gloria moved without thinking, placing her hand over his on the counter. Don't give up on her. Where there's life, there's hope. He looked down at her hand on his, and something shifted in his expression. You really believe that?
I have to.
Because if she didn't, she'd have given up long ago. Sebastian turned his hand over, his fingers threading through hers. It was the first real touch they'd shared, and the contact sent electricity racing up Gloria's arm. She should pull away, should maintain professional distance, should remember that this man was dangerous, powerful, and completely off limits. But she didn't move. Stay, he said again, his voice dropping to something intimate and raw. Not just for Angela, for me. I feel like I can breathe when you're in this house. Gloria's heart pounded. Mr. Lorenzo. Sebastian. Please, just once say my name. Sebastian, she whispered and watched something dark and hungry flash through his eyes. He raised their joined hands, pressed her knuckles to his lips. The gesture was old-fashioned, reverent, and it made her feel like something precious. I know I shouldn't feel this way, he murmured against her skin. I know there are 1,000 reasons why this is wrong, but Gloria, when I look at you, I see hope. I see light in all this darkness. Gloria was drowning in his gaze, in the impossible situation that was wrapping around her like vines. She thought about Ava, about the secret she was keeping, about how complicated everything would become if she let this happen. But she thought more about Angela dying slowly in her princess bedroom upstairs, about the fact that Gloria might be able to save her if she was brave enough to reveal everything. I need to go, she managed to say, gently pulling her hand free. It's late. Let me have my driver take you home.
No.
The last thing she needed was Sebastian's people seeing where she really lived, seeing Ava. I prefer the bus. I'll see you tomorrow. She practically ran from the kitchen, her heart racing and her mind spinning. As she rode the bus back to Brooklyn, she stared at her phone at the photo of Ava as her wallpaper. Everything was getting too complicated, too real, too dangerous. And yet, when her phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number, she opened it immediately. Thank you for everything. Get home safe. D. Gloria stared at that single-letter signature, at the care behind those simple words, and realized she was in much bigger trouble than she'd thought because she was starting to fall for Sebastian Lorenzo. And that might be the most dangerous thing of all. The tension had been building for weeks. Gloria felt it every time she and Sebastian were in the same room, the air practically crackling with unspoken words. He found excuses to be home more often, appearing in whatever room she was cleaning, asking innocuous questions that felt weighted with meaning. Do you like the library? He'd ask while she dusted shelves. Do you prefer coffee or tea? While she worked in the kitchen? Have you ever been to Italy? While they both watched Angela sleep. Small talk that felt like so much more. Mrs. Chen noticed, her eyes narrowing with concern every time she caught them together. The other staff whispered when they thought Gloria couldn't hear. But Gloria tried to ignore it all, focusing on her job and on Angela, who was growing weaker with each passing week. The little girl's good days were becoming fewer. Some mornings, she couldn't get out of bed without help. The medication made her nauseous, and the pain was getting harder to manage. Gloria's heart broke a little more each day as she watched the light in Angela's eyes dim. Gloria, Angela whispered. One afternoon, her small hand gripping Gloria's tightly. Am I going to die? The question hit like a bullet. Gloria swallowed hard, choosing her words carefully. We're all doing everything we can to make sure you don't. But what if you can't find a donor? What if nobody matches? Gloria thought about the blood work she'd had done when Ava was born, about the rare markers that made her a universal match for certain liver conditions. She'd researched Angela's disease obsessively over the past weeks, using Mia's medical access to dig into the specifics, and everything she'd learned pointed to one undeniable truth. She could save Angela's life. All she had to do was offer. But offering meant revealing Ava's existence. It meant explaining why she'd been tested, why she knew her genetic profile. It meant bringing her daughter into Sebastian's world, a world of wealth and violence that terrified her. Sometimes miracles happen, Gloria said, squeezing Angela's hand. Sometimes the right person appears exactly when you need them. Angela's eyes filled with tears. I don't want to leave, Papa. He'll be so sad. Then we won't let you leave. But Gloria knew time was running out. That night, she called Nova. I need you to do something for me, Gloria said quietly, standing in the mansion's garden where no one could overhear. I need you to run my blood work against Angela Lorenzo's profile. Silence on the other end. Then Gloria, no. Nova, you know what you're asking. If you're a match, you'll have to explain everything. Ava, your past, all of it. These people are dangerous. I know. Then why? Gloria looked up at Angela's window where a nightlight shaped like a princess castle glowed softly. Because I can't watch her die when I might be able to save her. I just can't, Nova. Another long silence. Give me 2 days. But Gloria, if you're a match, think very carefully before you tell them. This isn't just about saving Angela. This is about putting yourself and Ava in the middle of something you might not be able to walk away from. 2 days later, Mia called with results that changed everything. You're a perfect match, Mia said, her voice tight. Better than perfect, actually. Your liver markers align with Angela's so precisely that I've never seen anything like it. It's almost as if she paused. Gloria, are you sure you don't have any Italian ancestry? These genetic markers are extremely rare, almost exclusively found in specific Italian bloodlines. Gloria's mind reeled. My grandmother was Italian. I never knew much about her family. She died when I was young. That explains it. These markers are passed down through very specific family lines. Gloria, if you do this, Sebastian Lorenzo will know you're connected to his world in a way you never expected. Do you understand what I'm saying? Gloria understood. She understood that somehow, impossibly, fate had tangled her bloodline with Angela's in ways she'd never imagined. She understood that she wasn't just a random maid who happened to care about this little girl. She was genetically fundamentally connected to saving her life. I'm doing it, Gloria said firmly. Set up a meeting with Angela's medical team. Tell them you have a potential donor. The next morning, Gloria arrived at the mansion to find Sebastian in his study, his face gray with exhaustion. Papers were scattered across his desk, names and hospitals and medical reports. There's been another setback, he said without preamble. The donor we thought might work was a no match. We're back to square one. Gloria's heart pounded. This was the moment, the point of no return. Sebastian, I need to tell you something. He looked up, and something in her tone made him stand. What is it? I ran blood work against Angela's profile. The words came out rushed, nervous. I'm a match. A perfect match. The silence that followed was deafening. Sebastian stared at her like she'd spoken in a foreign language, his expression cycling through disbelief, hope, and then sharp suspicion. What are you talking about? I'm a match to be Angela's donor. I can save her life.
How?
The word came out harsh. How do you have blood work against my daughter's profile? How do you even know what to look for? Gloria took a breath. This was it. Because I have a daughter, Ava. She's 7. When she was born, there were complications and I had to be tested for genetic conditions. That's how I know my blood type, my markers. My sister is a nurse. She ran the comparison. Sebastian's face went cold. The warm man she'd been getting to know disappearing behind the mask of the Mafia boss. You have a daughter, and you never mentioned this. I couldn't risk. You lied. His voice was deadly quiet. You looked me in the eye and lied about having a family. You got close to my daughter, to me, and it was all based on a lie.
No.
Gloria stepped forward, desperate for him to understand. I lied about having Ava because I needed this job. I needed the money to take care of her. But everything else, everything I've felt, everything I've done for Angela, that was real. How do I know that? How do I trust anything you say? Because I'm offering to give part of my liver to save your daughter. Gloria's voice rose despite herself. Do you think I do that as some kind of game? I love Angela. She's become like a daughter to me, and I can't watch her die when I can help. Sebastian ran both hands through his hair, his control visibly fracturing. This is insane. You just appear in my life at the exact moment Angela needs you. You have the exact genetic profile that can save her. That's not coincidence, Gloria. That's not fate. That's something else. What are you saying? I'm saying I need to know everything. Every detail about you, your family, your daughter, everything. Because if you're connected to my enemies, if this is some elaborate setup, it's not. Tears burned Gloria's eyes. I'm just a woman trying to survive, trying to take care of her daughter. I came here for a job. I stayed because I fell in love with Angela. And somewhere along the way, I started falling for you too. That's the truth. All of it. The confession hung in the air between them. Sebastian's eyes widened, something vulnerable flickering across his face before the cold mask returned. I need time to process this. We don't have time. Angela doesn't have time. Every day we wait. Then you should have told me the truth from the beginning. His voice echoed off the walls. You should have trusted me. Trusted you. Gloria laughed bitterly. You're a mafia boss, Sebastian. You have people killed. You run an empire built on fear. Why would I trust you with the most precious thing in my life? The words hung between them like a blade. For a moment, Sebastian looked like she'd physically struck him. Then his expression hardened completely. Get out.
What?
I said. Get out. I need to think. I need to investigate. I need to figure out if any of this is real, or if I've been played by someone smarter than I gave them credit for. Gloria's heart shattered. Sebastian, please. Mrs. Chin will escort you out. Don't come back until I call you. He turned away, dismissing her, and Gloria felt something inside her break. She'd known this was a risk. She'd known revealing everything could backfire, but she hadn't expected it to hurt this much. As she walked to the door, she turned back one more time. When you're done being angry, remember that I'm the only chance Angela has. And remember that I'm offering to save her life, even though you're throwing me out. That's how much I care. She left before he could respond, before the tears could fall, before she could see whether her words had any impact at all. Outside, Mrs. Chen waited with a security guard, her expression sympathetic but firm. I'm sorry, Miss Roberts. Mr. Lorenzo's orders. Gloria nodded numbly, gathering her things from the small locker where she kept her personal items. As she walked down the long driveway for what might be the last time, her phone buzzed. It was Nova. The medical team wants to move forward with the transplant as soon as possible. They're going to contact Sebastian's doctors directly. Gloria, are you ready for this? Gloria looked back at the mansion one more time, at the window where Angela's room was, at the life she'd briefly allowed herself to imagine being part of. I'm ready, she said. Whatever it takes to save her, whatever the cost, even if the cost was her heart. 3 days passed with no word from Sebastian. 3 days during which Gloria worked her other jobs, held Ava close every night, and waited for her phone to ring. The medical team had contacted her directly, explaining the procedure, the risks, the recovery time. She'd signed every paper, agreed to every test, but she needed Sebastian's approval to move forward. He was Angela's father, and without his consent, the transplant couldn't happen. On the 4th day, a black SUV pulled up outside Gloria's apartment building. Her heart stopped when she saw Sebastian step out, looking as exhausted and wrecked as she felt. We need to talk, he said when she opened the door. Gloria looked back at Ava, who was coloring at the kitchen table. Not here. They walked to a small park 2 blocks away, the awkward silence between them thick enough to choke on. Finally, on a bench overlooking a playground where children laughed and played, Sebastian spoke. I had you investigated. Every aspect of your life, your family, your history. Gloria's hands clenched. And you're exactly who you said you are. A single mother working multiple jobs to survive. No connection to my enemies. No hidden agenda. Just a woman trying to protect her daughter. He turned to look at her, and his eyes were red-rimmed.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I didn't trust you. I'm sorry I threw you out. I'm sorry for all of it. The apology caught her off guard. Sebastian, let me finish, please. He took a shaky breath. I've spent my whole life not trusting anyone. It's kept me alive, kept my family safe, but it also means I destroy everything good before it has a chance to become real. I looked at you offering to save my daughter's life, and I couldn't believe it was genuine. I couldn't believe someone would do that without wanting something in return. I do want something in return, Gloria said quietly. I want Angela to live. I want to see her grow up. I want her to have the future she deserves.
Why?
She's not your daughter. You've only known her a few months. Gloria thought about how to explain it, how to make him understand. When I was pregnant with Ava, I had complications, serious ones. The doctors told me there was a chance I'd lose her, or that carrying her to term might kill me. And I remember lying in that hospital bed thinking that I would do anything, sacrifice anything to make sure she lived. That's what love is, Sebastian. It's not logical. It's not convenient. It's just this overwhelming need to protect someone, even if it costs you everything. She met his eyes. That's how I feel about Angela now. She's not my biological daughter, but she's become mine in my heart, and I can't let her die if I have the power to save her. Sebastian's composure cracked. He dropped his head into his hands, and his shoulders shook with silent sobs. Gloria moved instinctively, wrapping her arms around him, and he turned into her embrace like a drowning man finding shore. I'm so scared, he whispered against her shoulder. I'm so scared of losing her. She's everything to me. Everything. I know. I know. Gloria held him tighter. This powerful man reduced to his most fundamental self. A father terrified of losing his child. They sat like that for a long time, holding each other in the fading afternoon light. Finally, Sebastian pulled back, wiping his eyes. Tell me about Ava, he said. I want to know about your daughter. Gloria smiled through her own tears. She's 7, smart, funny, asks a million questions. She loves to draw and wants to be a veterinarian when she grows up. She has asthma, which is why I needed good insurance. Why I needed this job. She's my whole world. I'd like to meet her if you'll let me. Are you sure? If we're going to move forward with this transplant, if you're going to save Angela's life, then our families are going to be connected. I want to know the little girl whose mother is giving my daughter a future. Gloria's heart swelled. She'd like that. She's been asking questions about where I work, who the people are. I haven't told her about Angela's illness, but she knows something is going on. Bring her to the house tomorrow. Let her meet Angela before the surgery. Let them become friends. Sebastian, are you sure? Once we do this, once they meet, there's no going back. Our lives are going to be tangled together forever. He reached out, cupping her face with one large hand. His thumb brushed across her cheekbone with infinite tenderness. Gloria, I think our lives were already tangled together from the moment you walked through my door. Maybe this was always meant to happen. Maybe fate brought you to us for a reason. You believe in fate now. I believe in you. He leaned forward, his forehead resting against hers. I believe that somehow, impossibly, you appeared exactly when we needed you most. I believe that you're the miracle I stopped praying for years ago. The kiss happened naturally, inevitably. His lips met hers softly at first, testing, asking permission. Gloria answered by rising up to meet him, her hand sliding into his hair, and the kiss deepened into something desperate and needy and absolutely right. When they finally broke apart, both breathless, Sebastian pressed another kiss to her forehead. I'm falling in love with you, he murmured. I know it's fast. I know it's complicated, but Gloria, you've brought light back into my life. You've given me hope. You've made me believe in good things again. I'm falling in love with you, too, Gloria admitted. Even though it scares me. Even though I don't know how this works. A maid and a mafia boss. Our different worlds. We'll figure it out together. He stood, pulling her up with him.
Come on.
Let's go tell Angela that we found her donor. Let's tell her she's going to live. The next day, Gloria brought Ava to the mansion. Her daughter's eyes went wide as they drove through the gates, taking in the gardens and the fountain and the sheer size of everything. Mama, is this where you work? It's like a castle. It is pretty impressive, isn't it? Gloria squeezed her daughter's hand. Nervous about how this would go, Sebastian met them at the door, and Gloria saw him through Ava's eyes. Tall, intimidating, powerful. But then he crouched down to Ava's level, and his expression softened. You must be Ava. Your mom has told me so much about you. I'm Sebastian. Ava, usually shy with strangers, studied him seriously. You're Angela's dad. I am. Mama says she's sick. That's why Mama has to help her. That's right. Your mama is very brave. I know. Ava nodded matter-of-factly. She's the bravest person in the whole world. Sebastian's eyes met Gloria's over Ava's head, warm and full of something that made Gloria's chest ache. I think you're right about that. Angela was having a good day, alert and excited to have visitors. When Gloria introduced the two girls, they sized each other up with the natural weariness of children meeting for the first time. You're going to give me part of your liver? Angela asked Ava directly.
No, silly.
My mama is, Ava corrected. But I'm sharing her with you, so you better be nice. Angela giggled. I'll be nice. Do you like princesses? I like astronauts better.
Oh,
Angela considered this. Can you teach me about astronauts?
sure.
And maybe you can teach me about princesses.
Deal.
Just like that, the two girls ran off to play, leaving the adults standing in the hallway. That was easier than expected, Gloria said, relief flooding through her. Children don't complicate things the way adults do, Sebastian observed. He watched the girls disappear into the library, then turned to Gloria. The surgery is scheduled for 3 days from now. Are you sure about this? I've never been more sure of anything. The doctors say the recovery will be hard. You'll need to stay here for at least 2 weeks after the surgery. I've already set up a room for Ava. Arranged for a tutor to come so she doesn't fall behind in school. Mrs. Chun has agreed to help with child care during your recovery. Gloria's eyes widened. Sebastian, you don't have to. Yes, I do. You're saving my daughter's life. The least I can do is make sure you and Ava are taken care of. He stepped closer, his hand finding hers. Besides, I meant what I said about our families being connected now. This is just the beginning, Gloria. If you'll have me, if you'll have this life, I want you and Ava to be part of it permanently. Her breath caught. What are you saying? I'm saying that I've been alone for so long, raising Angela by myself in this big empty house. I'm saying that you've made me remember what it feels like to have a family, a real one. Not just blood and obligation, but choice and love. I'm saying that I want to wake up every morning knowing you're here. I want to watch our daughters grow up together. I want to build a life with you. Gloria's eyes filled with tears. It's crazy. It's too fast. I know. But when something is right, you just know. Don't you feel it too?
She did.
Despite every logical reason to be cautious, despite the complications and the danger and the impossibility of it all, Gloria felt it in her bones. This was right. This was where she was meant to be. Yes, she whispered. I feel it too. The kiss was interrupted by giggles from the library. They pulled apart to find both girls peeking around the doorframe, grinning mischievously. Papa's kissing Gloria, Angela sing-gonged. Mama's kissing Mr. Sebastian, Ava added. Does this mean we're going to be sisters? Angela asked hopefully. Gloria and Sebastian looked at each other, and in his eyes, she saw the future. Complicated, yes. Scary, absolutely, but full of love and hope and second chances. Maybe, Sebastian said, pulling Gloria close. If your mama says yes, mama, say yes, Ava pleaded. Please, Angela added, her eyes shining with the kind of joy that came from knowing she was going to live, going to have a future, going to have a sister and a new mother figure in her life. Gloria looked at the 3 people who had somehow become her entire world in just a few short months. Her daughter, the little girl she'd come to love like her own. The man who'd shown her what it meant to be truly seen and cherished. Yes, she said, and watched as all 3 of them lit up with happiness. Yes to all of it. The surgery was scheduled for early morning. Gloria woke in the pre-dawn darkness, her heart racing with a mixture of fear and determination. She'd spent the night in one of the mansion's guest rooms, and Ava had slept curled against her side, sensing her mother's anxiety. Sebastian knocked softly on the door just after 5. Ready? Gloria kissed Ava's forehead, careful not to wake her, and followed him downstairs. The medical team was already set up in the private surgical suite Sebastian had built in the mansion, complete with state-of-the-art equipment and the best surgeons money could buy. We'll be doing simultaneous surgeries, Dr. Martinez explained. One team for you, one for Angela. The procedure should take about 6 hours total. Mr. Lorenzo, you'll need to stay in the waiting area.
No.
Sebastian's voice was firm. I stay where I can see both of them. The doctor started to protest, but one look at Sebastian's face made him reconsider. We'll set up a viewing area. Before they took Gloria back to prep, Sebastian pulled her aside. His hands cupped her face, his eyes searching hers with an intensity that stole her breath. Thank you, he said roughly. Thank you for giving me back my daughter. Thank you for being brave enough to do this. I love her, Gloria said simply. And I love you. There was never any other choice. If anything goes wrong, it won't. Gloria placed her hand over his heart, feeling it race beneath her palm. We're both going to be fine. We're going to wake up, and Angela is going to be healthy, and we're going to have our future together. Believe that. He kissed her deeply, pouring everything he felt into that kiss. Promise, hope, love, fear, all of it. Tomo, he whispered against her lips. I love you, Gloria Roberts. I love you, too. They took her back then, and Gloria's last thought before the anesthesia pulled her under was of Angela's smile, of Ava's laughter, of the family she was fighting for. The surgery was a success. When Gloria woke hours later, groggy and in pain, the first face she saw was Sebastian's. He looked like he'd aged 10 years. His eyes red from crying, his hair disheveled from running his hands through it repeatedly. Angela. Gloria managed to croak out. Perfect. The transplant took perfectly. She's already showing signs of improvement. His voice cracked. You saved her, Gloria. You saved my daughter. Tears spilled down Gloria's cheeks. Can I see her? Soon. The doctors want you both to rest first, but Gloria, she's asking for you. She wants to make sure you're okay. Over the next few days, Gloria and Angela recovered side by side in adjoining rooms. The pain was intense, but every time Gloria felt like complaining, she'd look over and see Angela sitting up in bed, color returning to her cheeks, eating solid food for the first time in months, and the pain would feel like nothing. Ava visited every day after school, dividing her time between her mother and her new sister. The two girls had bonded instantly, and watching them together filled Gloria with a joy she couldn't quite name. 2 weeks after the surgery, Dr. Martinez gave Gloria clearance to move around more freely. She found Sebastian in his study, staring at papers, but clearly not seeing them. Hey, she said softly from the doorway. He looked up, and his face transformed. You're walking slowly, but yes. She made her way to him carefully, and he stood to help her, guiding her to sit in the chair beside his desk. How are you feeling? Like I got hit by a truck, but it's getting better every day. How's Angela thriving? The doctors can't believe how well she's responding. They say within a few months she'll be able to do everything normal kids do. Ride bikes, play sports, go to regular school. His voice thickened. All because of you. We did it together. Gloria corrected. You never gave up on her. You moved mountains trying to find a donor. I was just the answer that appeared. Sebastian took her hand, his thumb stroking over her knuckles. You're so much more than that. You're the answer to everything I didn't know I was asking for. A partner, a love, a mother for Angela, a family. About that, Gloria said, her heart racing. I've been thinking about the future, about what happens next. Worry flashed across Sebastian's face. If you're having second thoughts, no, not second thoughts, just questions about how this works. I'm still a maid, Sebastian. You're still the head of a crime family. How do we bridge that gap? He was quiet for a long moment. I've been thinking about that too. About what I want my life to look like now. What I want Angela's life to look like. He stood pacing to the window. I've spent the last 15 years building this empire. I've done things I'm not proud of. Hurt people. Made choices I can't take back. I did it for power, for money, for the family name. But what's it all worth if I lose my daughter? If I lose you? What are you saying? He turned to face her. I'm saying I want out. Not completely, not overnight, but I want to transition away from the dangerous parts of the business. I have legitimate holdings, investments, companies that are completely legal. I can focus on those. I can be a better man for Angela, for you, for Ava. Gloria's eyes widened. That's a big decision. It's the right decision. You've shown me that there's another way to live, another way to be strong that doesn't involve fear and violence. I want to be the kind of man our daughters can be proud of. Our daughters, Gloria repeated, testing the words. I like the sound of that. Sebastian crossed back to her, kneeling beside her chair. Marry me, Gloria. Not now, not tomorrow, but when you're healed, when you're ready. Marry me and make this official. Make us a family, in every way. Gloria's breath caught. That's crazy. That's love. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Inside was a ring so stunning that Gloria gasped. A simple platinum band with a flawless diamond surrounded by smaller stones that caught the light and threw rainbows across the walls. I had it made while you were in surgery, Sebastian admitted. I couldn't stop thinking about what I'd say if we both made it through. If you survived giving part of yourself to save my daughter, and I knew I'd ask you this. I knew I'd beg you to stay forever, if that's what it took. You don't have to beg, Gloria whispered, her hand shaking as she reached out to touch the ring. Yes, Sebastian. Yes, I'll marry you. Yes to all of it. He slid the ring onto her finger, and it fit perfectly, like it had been made for her, which Gloria supposed it had been. The kiss was soft and sweet and full of promise. When they broke apart, they heard a sound in the doorway. Angela and Ava stood there. Angela supported by her four-pole, but grinning from ear to ear. Did Mama say yes? Ava asked, bouncing on her toes. She said yes. Sebastian confirmed, laughing. Both girls squealed and rushed forward as carefully as they could, wrapping themselves around Gloria and Sebastian in a tangle of arms and joy. We're going to be a real family, Angela said, wonder in her voice. All of us together. Gloria looked around at these three people who had become her whole world, and she felt something she hadn't felt in years. Absolute certainty that she was exactly where she was supposed to be. Yes, she said, pulling them all closer. A real family forever. 18 months later, Gloria stood in the garden of the Lorenzo estate, watching Ava and Angela chase each other through the flowers. Both girls were healthy, vibrant, full of life and laughter. Angela's long recovery had been worth every moment. She was now a normal 8-year-old attending school, playing soccer, living the life her father had feared she'd never have. Mrs. Lorenzo. Sebastian's voice came from behind her, and Gloria smiled at the title she was still getting used to. They'd married in a small ceremony 6 months ago, surrounded by family and the few friends Sebastian trusted completely. I'm still not used to that name, she admitted as he wrapped his arms around her waist, pulling her back against his chest. Good thing you have the rest of your life to adjust. He pressed a kiss to her temple. The girls look happy.
They are.
We all are. It was true. The last year and a half had been transformative in ways Gloria could never have imagined. Sebastian had kept his promise, gradually extracting himself from the dangerous aspects of his business. He still had wealth, still had influence, but now it came from legitimate sources, real estate, tech investments, charitable foundations. Gloria had gone back to school, finally finishing the degree she'd started before Ava was born. She was studying social work, wanting to help other single mothers who found themselves in the same desperate situations she'd faced. I have news, Sebastian said, his tone carefully neutral. Good news or bad news? Good news. The board approved the new foundation. Starting next month, we'll be able to help fund transplants for families who can't afford them. We'll cover donor compensation, medical expenses, recovery costs, all of it. Gloria turned in his arms, her eyes filling with tears. Really? Really? We're calling it the Angela's Hope Foundation. Our daughter wanted to help other kids like her. Kids who need miracles. You're amazing. You know that. I learned from the best. He kissed her softly. You saved more than Angela's life that day, Gloria. You saved mine, too. You showed me there was another way to live, another way to use my resources and power. You made me want to be better. We made each other better. Gloria corrected. That's what love does. A shout from the girls interrupted them. Angela was waving frantically. Mama Gloria, Papa, come see what we found. Gloria and Sebastian walked hand in hand to where the girls were crouched in the flower bed, examining something. It's a butterfly cocoon, Ava explained carefully, holding a leaf. Miss Angela says we should bring it inside, so we can watch it hatch. Can we, Papa? Angela added her plea.
Please.
Sebastian looked at Gloria, who nodded with a smile. Absolutely. We'll put it in the library where you can check on it every day. As the girls ran ahead with their treasure, Sebastian pulled Gloria close once more. Thank you, he said quietly. For what? For taking a chance on us. For walking through those gates 18 months ago. For staying when you could have run. For saving my daughter. For saving me. For giving us all a second chance at life. Gloria thought about that young woman who'd stood outside these gates so long ago, desperate and afraid and willing to do anything to survive. She'd walked into this house expecting nothing more than a paycheck and had found everything she never knew she needed. You saved me, too, she said. You and Angela, you gave me a reason to believe in miracles again. Inside the house, the girls' laughter echoed through the halls, filling the spaces that had once felt so cold and empty with warmth and life and love. The butterfly cocoon sat on the library windowsill, waiting for its transformation, just as they all had been transformed by love, by sacrifice, by the courage to take a chance on something impossible. Gloria looked up at Sebastian, at the man who'd started as her employer and become her partner, her love, her future. She thought about the journey that had brought them here, about the little girl whose life she'd saved and who had saved her in return. I love you, she said simply. Both of you, all of you. This family we've built, Tomo, Sebastian replied, pressing his forehead to hers. Today, tomorrow, always. You're my miracle, Gloria Lorenzo. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure you never regret choosing us. But Gloria knew she never would, because some love stories aren't about fairy tales or perfect beginnings. Some love stories are about finding each other in the darkness, about sacrifice and courage, and the choice to believe in something bigger than fear. Some love stories are worth everything. And this one was just beginning. This story has reached its conclusion. If it touched your heart in any way, please leave your like and share it with someone who also loves emotional stories. Let us know in the comments what you felt about Gloria and Sebastian's journey and what moment touched you most. New stories arrive soon. Until next time.